Thanks for coming by the Ready to Die channel for another episode of Monster Monday, where I take the opportunity to present a creature for Pathfinder 2nd Edition and delve into my design process for it. The stat block for this creature and many more can be found over on the Monster Monday blog, as well as the Twitter and Discord, which are linked below. You can also find a Pathfinder 1st Edition and D&D 5e conversion of the creature in these places as well. Today's sneaky sinister subject is an exciting one, folks. For me, if nothing else. Because today is the first video I've made with a monster featuring original art. The art for this special monster is provided by none other than Vildivitis, a regular abomination artiste for Monster Monday. The Whowie is by no means a creature I came up with, but is instead a monster of myth, along the lines of the Chimera, Wendigo, and Jiangshi. This allowed me a bit of freedom when it came to making the Whowie, which hails from Australian Aboriginal myth, where it is described as a giant, six-legged goanna with the head of a toad. Before diving into the basics of the monster, I want to give you guys an abbreviated take on the tale of the Whowie. A cave-dwelling creature, the Whowie would emerge from its subterranean domain and trample the landscape before creeping into a village. Impossibly stealthy and silent, in spite of its size, it would lumber through the town, gobbling up all within before returning to its home. One tribe decided they had suffered the Whowie's reign of terror long enough, and gathered weapons along with bundles of sticks. Rather than chase the Whowie into its lair, they placed these sticks at the entrance of the cave in a great heap, and lit them on fire. They fed the flames, keeping it burning for 7 days, before the Whowie, blinded and disoriented by the smoke filling its caverns, emerged, only to be struck down by the tribe attacking it as one. With that tale in mind, when it came to actually building the Whowie, I didn't feel as though it should be too powerful. Absolutely a threat to isolated communities and the like, but still able to be taken out by hunters banding together. Between that, some level gaps and monsters I made, and a few of its abilities, I settled on designing it as a level 8 creature. Armed with abilities that border on the effects of spells, I decided to make the Whowie a beast rather than an animal. The Whowie is a curious creeping critter that relies more on its specialized power over its pure stats. Its strength and constitution are its highest attributes at +5, which is between moderate and high for its level. While a beast and thus requiring at least a -3 intelligence, I was partially influenced by Vildi's depiction of the creature and made it a little dopey by keeping its modifier low. For a similar reason, I decided to keep its perception low. The Whowie is an ambush predator that isn't overly reliant on its senses as much as it depends on its prey not noticing it. The Whowie is going to use athletics to swallow prey with a high bonus, but is also unnaturally stealthy. This is mostly covered through its abilities, but it still needs stealth and will have that at a moderate bonus. Our depiction of the Whowie is a little more cumbersome, and with some of its abilities making it difficult to target, I settled on a low value for its armor class. The design is burly, lending itself to a high fortitude save, while using a low bonus for both its reflex and will saves. Befitting the weaknesses in its other defenses, the Whowie uses a high hit point value, which ends up making him fairly tanky. I debated including a weakness to fire based on the original myth of the Whowie, but that whole affair took 7 days to smoke out the Whowie, which seems pretty standard rather than suggesting a weakness. Armed with 3 attacks that all use an attack bonus between high and moderate, the Whowie has a decently sized toolkit to work with. Its jaws deal only a moderate 2d8 +9, but they come with improved grab to help it gobble up its prey. Initially, I only built it with grab, but the monster felt even more sluggish than I wanted it to during testing. Something I pictured this creature doing was sneaking up to open windows in villages, eating a sleeper straight out of their bed, and then just wandering off back to its home. As such, I sped it up to improve grab to allow this to be something that could happen. Lacking any other unique traits or abilities, the Whowie uses a high damage for its tail. Finally, its tongue deals no damage, but has the highest reach of its strikes as well as the agile trait, making it very good at grabbing up creatures with the tongue grab feature. This effect is commonly seen on other creatures with long snapping tongues, such as giant toads and chameleons, and creatures that become grabbed by this effect can still move within the range of the tongue. Aside from escaping, they can target the Whowie's tongue at a terrible AC and a meager damage to sever it. However, if they don't cut its tongue, the Whowie can reel in its prey with tongue drag, using its high athletics to pull a creature in so they can swallow them whole without having to get them in its jaws. Following that, it has Swallow Whole, so that it can devour and then abscond with its prey in relative swiftness. The damage for this is low, since it is consistent damage inflicted just by keeping a creature swallowed. These abilities are very physiological and set more around it being a bulky, burly beast, but the remaining two features of its kit that we have left to discuss are a bit more specific and unique to its mythology. Firstly, we'll discuss Swift Cloak, which is one of the reasons that the Whowie is as stealthy as it is. The Whowie activates this as a single action and just whoosh, vanishes. This functions based on the invisibility spell, though on a much shorter duration and activation. While I didn't have much of a chance to use this during the test, which is part of the reason its jaws gained improved grab, this ability dictates several of its other stats. Notably, the hitting condition it provides encourages a lower AC, since characters have to roll flat checks to even target it. Additionally, its attack bonus being on the lower end is influenced by targets being flat-footed to its attacks while it's invisible. While the Whowie's Swift Cloak covers the visual aspect of its stealth, the final ability we have to discuss handles the auditory part of it, its silent aura. Much like its Swift Cloak being based on invisibility, this is based on a 4th level silence. Aside from levels that I need to fill in, options such as this are one of the main deciding factors in levels for creatures that I am freer to build, such as original monsters or ones drawn from mythology. Since this effect is based on a 4th level spell, the lowest level I would want to make this creature is 7th. With this in mind, the next thing I looked at was where I needed to fill in these levels, and that led to the decision of using level 8. From a more specific design perspective, this ability largely exists to aid the Whowie in its stealth, but does have some actual mechanics that I at least had fun with. I'm not sure how this will change with a remaster, but many spells have the verbal component, which can't be provided for a spell when the caster is within its aura. This makes the Whowie a caster's nightmare, which made the fact that my test subjects were 3.5 casters for it utterly hilarious. Check that out on the Monster Mash.
And so, because sound doesn't work, spells with verbal components don't work?
Not within its aura. This felt short, but that covers the extent of the Whowie's design. This supernaturally silent and stealthy stalker slips into settlements to sup and then steal away, satiated on sinister sustenance. The Whowie makes an excellent monster to have haunting the hinterlands, menacing a village that the heroes must save. While it is a fairly solitary creature, it could also potentially be trained as the pet of an assassin or kidnapper that uses it to spirit away victims in utter silence, giving another way to use the monster in a campaign. You can check out the Monster Monday blog and Twitter for the stat blocks, or hop on the Discord to join the monster making and general tabletop discussions. These posts also include a Pathfinder 1st Edition version of the monster, along with a D&D 5e conversion. Thanks for watching, and have a monstrous Monday.